Welcome to Policy and Politics. My name is Gary Hooser, and my co-host, Aria Juliet Castillo, is on vacation, so she can't be here today. So this is the first time solo. First time I've done this solo and Hooser Unleashed, as I've been joking about. But thank you for joining in. If you're just joining in now, I want to thank you for that and encourage you to share it on Facebook and with your friends and networks. And you can comment on whether you're on YouTube or on Facebook. You can put your questions and comments in the chat there, and I'll try to get to some of that later. But yeah, welcome. Here I am on the Garden Island and my Zoom room, and ready to go. There's lots of stuff talked about, lots of stuff going on in the world, and unfortunately, most of it pretty stressful right now. We've got to learn and remember to stop and smell the roses. Myself, I walk with my wife Claudette every morning, and that helps me. And I encourage you guys to do the same. A little bit of housekeeping disclosure. First of all, I'm a volunteer. I don't get paid to be here talking on the show. I don't. Ari is a volunteer. Mishka, who's in the background, who's helping with the tech stuff and keeping us on track. Mishka is a volunteer. So we're not affiliated with any organization. We work with different organizations. Ari and I are both co-founders of HAPA, Hawaii Alliance for Progressive Action, and Aria works for them. But I'm no longer on that board. I spent 10, 11 years on it, and a lot of friends there and still support them, but I'm not part of that organization or any organization. So no organization tells us what to do. Nobody gives us money. This is straight from the heart, straight from our experience, our life experience, from Gary Hooser and Aria Castillo. Whether she's watching, I hope she's not. She's on vacation. She's not supposed to be watching. But if she is, aloha Aria. I do a little self-promotion. So in addition to this bi-weekly video podcast, I have a blog, garyhooser.blog. So if you're interested in policy and politics, and it's mostly, there it is, it's mostly Hawaii-centered. I live on the beautiful island of Kauai, but I write in the blog, not every day, so a couple times a week. And I talk about everything from the beauty of the island, but it's mostly policy and politics. And I try to help people learn what's going on, both locally, a little bit nationally, increasingly so nationally, and give action tips. I want to see people take action, and we're going to take some action today. I'm going to talk about that in a second. In addition to the blog, I do a mass email, and a lot of people love the email, and I encourage you to check out the email. Go to garyhooser.com, and that is my main website, garyhooser.com. It's got my resume there. It's got a list of stuff I've done. I've wearing a lot of different hats: former state senator, former council member, former business person. I like to say I'm presently a tutu man, grandpa. And but if you go there, the main page, go to the subscribe button, hit it, and you can subscribe to the email. I hate to call it a newsletter. I don't read newsletters. I like to call it an action letter, a rant letter. I get on some rants sometimes, political rants. But it's a way to stay connected and to learn more. I realize that both people watching here today, as well as people who read the emails and go to the blog, some are newbies. Some people have never been involved in politics, but want to get involved. And other people are more political junkies or real akamai, and they want to learn more and get hot tips, that kind of thing. So I try to put a little bit for everything. So please join me there. That's a disclaimer. Again, aloha. Thank you, Mishka. I made me some notes here. First, we're going to talk about the Trump administration and all that craziness. Reading the newspaper today, reading online stuff. I guess there's no real newspapers anymore, but reading online, whether the New York Times or the Guardian or CNN or Fox, it's all about Epstein. And I've come to conclude, I kind of agree with President Trump on this. Who cares about Epstein? We know the guy is a pal of Epstein's, former pal. We know he hung out with him. We know he did bad things to underage women. We know he's a crook. Okay, we know that. We know he's a misogynic narcissist, authoritarian, with diminishing mental capacity. We know that stuff. We don't need to read about it every day in the news. What we do need to remind people is what's going on in the world under his command. He needs to step up to the plate, or the people around him and all our legislators, and call it out. It's time to stop killing people, killing kids in Gaza. Okay, that's what we need to be reading about every day. How to stop the war in the Mideast and in Ukraine and around the planet. That's what we need to talk about, not about this Epstein garbage. We know about that already. Let's put him in jail. Not Epstein, of course, went to jail, but yeah, I mean that'll play out. But we don't need to see it in the news. We need to have real news about real things that are going on. People are being kidnapped in the middle of the night. People in Hawaii are being caught up by ICE. School teachers on Maui being cornered in and scared to death with uniformed security with masks on. We need to get rid of the masks. We need to, and you look at all, he's cutting the budgets. He's giving the money to the oligarchs, to the richest people in the world. Meanwhile, Medicaid is going to be shrinking. SNAP, food stamps are going to be shrinking. School help and support and environment. That's what we need to be talking about. And that's what we need to be focusing on, which is what I hope to talk about today. People ask me, Gary, what can we do? What can we do to make a difference? And my standard reply, and the thing that keeps me sane, besides walking, is to think locally and act. Think globally and act locally. Okay, let's talk to our council members and our state legislators and our governor. Ask our governor to stand up and speak out on Gaza. What a message that would be to Netanyahu if the governor of the state of Hawaii stood up in public and said, enough is enough, we got to stop the killing. Or state legislature did that. Or we just have to do that uniformly. And all these issues that Trump is doing, we need to stand up and be counted, and we need to push our legislators and our political leaders to do that. They got to show up. They got to show up and they got to speak out. And showing up right now means we need and we must demand as individual citizens a special legislative session. The state legislature meets every year. I served in the state Senate for 8 years. I was majority leader for half that time. And the legislature meets in January, mid-January it opens, and then it closes in May. That's when laws are normally made. That's when the budget's set. That's when things happen. But this is an urgent time. This is a time unlike no other in my lifetime. And the legislature needs to step up to that and hold a special session. Go into session now or in 30 days and deal with some of these issues. Deal with the ICE issue. That's something you can do locally. Make it against state law for them to wear a mask. Make it so they have to show identification. So they can't just take people away in the middle of the night. The state can do that. The state can say, no, we're not going to cooperate with denying people due process. The county can do that too. We're not going to cooperate with anyone, federal government, anyone who's denying people due process. We can do that, and we should do that. There's lots of things we can do in a special session. We could give money to those programs who are being cut by the Trump administration. We can prepare for Medicaid being cut, prepare for the SNAP cuts. We can shore up our after-school programs. All that takes money. And that's what, when you call your legislator, I'm going to ask you to do that. When you call them, the first thing, many are going to say, we don't have any money. We don't have any money. Well, you could tell them BS. Okay, you can say Gary Hooser said it. That's not true. I learned one thing early on. One of the first lessons I learned in politics was when they tell you there's no money, you might want to write this down. When they tell you there's no money, what they're saying is it's not a priority. There's money for priority items. The state legislature last year, 2024 election year, gave a tax cut to all of us. They cut our taxes to the tune of $1.4 billion per year. So our legislators gave back $1.4 billion. They said we don't need it, apparently. And besides, it looked good, makes everybody feel good to give back the money. Most of that money, a good chunk of that money, goes to the highest income earners in the state. So if our legislators and our leaders, and they're out there, they're good people that are out there, if they want to do something, the money is available. They can take some of that tax cut, pass a new law, and take it back from the wealthiest people in the state, because they're already getting a new tax cut from the Trump administration. So there's money if they have the political will to do it. Some legislators, I heard the governor say this. The governor said, well, we don't have time in a special session to deal with Senate Bill 933, which we'll talk about in a minute. We don't have time. It's too short. And the legislative session can be a week or it can be 30 days. Okay, 30 days is a lot of time. But even if that's not enough time, they can start now, today. Form working groups, start having committee meetings outside of the session, get the bills ready, gavel in the legislative session, have more hearings, do the formal votes, and pass it. There are no reason except the lack of political will not to do a special session. I cannot believe they're hesitating. Right now, I'm hearing that the Senate doesn't want to do it, and the governor doesn't want to do it. And I'm saying, my God, how can they sleep at night? I can't sleep at night, and I'm not even in the legislature anymore. We drive by people sleeping in the gutters, and they don't have homes. We should deal with that. That's an emergency. Deal with that in the special session too. We have ethics laws that need to be fixed. Right now, political candidates can give money to each other, and they use that. It's a scam, basically. They get to buy 2 tickets, but sometimes those tickets are $4,000. And so that needs to be fixed. There's a loophole, contractors and their family members giving money to candidates. Contractors who have state contracts, who get money from the state, can give money to candidates. And that shouldn't be. There's lots of things that could be done in a special session, and we need to get on it. So I ask you today, right now, if you could, well, not right now, listen to me at the end of the show. Call, first of all, identify. Let me just back up a little bit. I am continually surprised at good people watching this program, who people are involved, people that testify, write letters to the editor and stuff, but they don't know who their own district senator or representative is. They get them mixed up sometimes with the federal, or they don't know their district. In my district, Representative Luke Evslin is my House member. My U.S. representative is Chiltakuda. My state senator is Senator Ron Kochi. So you need to identify and put it on your refrigerator, write it down in big bold letters, who your senator is, who your representative is. You can go online. There's an easy tool. Go to capital.hawaii.gov first. Capital.hawaii.gov. Capital with an O, Hawaii spelled out, .gov. That's home base for you. If you're new at this, go there. You can search bills. You can submit testimony. You can do all kinds of good things. And there's a function there where you can search, find your legislator, FYL. You type in your address and your legislator will pop up. There we go. Find your legislator. And you fill it out and the contact information will be there. So if you don't take anything away from this today, do that, please. It's really, really important. And then call your 2 legislators, call the Senate President and the Speaker of the House, Senator Ron Kochi, and the Speaker of the House, Representative Nadine Nakamura. And I think we might have their numbers also. Call and or email. I would say do both. There they are. I would say do both. You can leave a message, a little inside view here. If you don't want to talk to anybody, and they're going to be busy, and usually you'll get staff anyway. But if you call after hours, you can leave a message on their voicemail. And just tell them, we're counting on you. We want a special session. We need to deal with the Trump issues. We need to deal with our local issues, with people sleeping in bushes and in cars and under bridges, with ethics and campaign finance reform and ICE issues. We need to deal with those issues. We need to deal with them now. If we wait till January, they won't happen until June or July. By the time the session's over, by the time the governor gets to it, it'll be a year from now before this stuff gets dealt with. So this is important. Our legislators are part-time legislators. They just gave themselves a raise. And if they work full time, they deserve it, but they're not working full time, but they need to, especially now. This is urgent times right now, and we need to be on it. So please, at the end of the show, please make those calls. If you want to know more about what I just talked about, the session and why we need it and some of those details, that's on my blog, and it's also in the email that I sent out today. But the short story is, this is not regular times. We can't wait for a regular session. We need to take action now. And when your legislator says, well, gee, I'm not sure what we can do, I'm not part of leadership, they can call leadership. They can call their people they work with and say, let's do this. They can push them like we're pushing them. Anyway, boy, I'm getting all worked up here, and Aria's not here to hold me back. She doesn't hold me back. She's fired up and ready to go herself, and can't wait till she comes back. So what can we do? We can keep showing up. Keep showing up. Go to public hearings. Go to your council members' meetings. Even if you don't testify, go with people who are testifying and show up to show support. It adds value. If Indivisible, bless their hearts, they're doing a great job, and there's many groups doing it. ACLU, Hawaii Workers Center, many groups are organizing these actions, protests, actions, whatever you want to call them, on all islands. Go to those actions, support them, show up, hold signs, you'll meet people, you'll see old friends. It's good, and it's important that we send the message. We are not a minority. Most people in our community share our concerns. And so keep them on their toes. We got to keep pushing on them, because some don't know what to do and they don't want to make the wrong choice. And so we got to let them know what the right choices are. The right choice right now is to show up and to host a special session and deal with these issues now. So the special session, I talked a little bit about that already. We've got the money. We need to fix Senate Bill 933. Senate Bill 933. I'll get to that in a second. Schools, housing, mental health. We've got so many needs. The environment. Food stamps are going to be going away or drastically cut back. We cannot wait. Okay. And some stuff doesn't cost money. To change our campaign spending laws, to forbid contractors, members of their family, from giving money to legislators who helped them get the contract, who put it in the budget so they got the contract. It doesn't cost money to do that. It's a giant loophole. It's called pay to play, and it happens. I spent 16 years, in public office. I've run for a dozen campaigns at all. It costs money to run a political campaign, and people that benefit from your office want to help you, and that's not surprising. But the candidate, the legislature, has to stand back and say, no, I can't take your money, because it looks bad. Ethically, it looks bad, and you shouldn't be allowed to by law. There's money. You can take grassroots money. You can take money from organizations and people who do not have things in front of the legislature. But taking money from government contractors and their family members and their close associates is something that should be against the law. And in some states it is. Campaign finance reform. The two-ticket scam, I talked about that already. And I encourage all of you to check out Civil Beat. I hate to dwell on the negative, because good stuff happens too. There's some good people working there. But check out Civil Beat. There's an article there talking about $35,000 that was given to some legislator through an FBI sting operation or something like that. I don't know the exact circumstances, but I know $35,000 was given to a legislator who's probably still in office. You can read it in Civil Beat. There's many articles, credible, fact-checked, good stuff. And we need to get to the bottom of it. The legislators themselves, those people in office, need to stand up and say, it wasn't me. I'll tell you right now, it wasn't me. They should deny it if it's not them. If they know who it is, they should go to the courts or the FBI or the right attorneys, and this stuff's got to go. It saddens me. I spend my life promoting government as a way to solve a lot of issues whether it's climate change or income inequality or whatever. I count on government, and I tell people, get involved, run for office, vote. And when everyone thinks that they're all a bunch of crooks, that makes me sad. I know that's not true. I, again, served for 16 years. And I know absolutely that's not true. Clearly, there are some crooks there because there are two people that went to jail just recently, legislators, a House member and a senator. And we got to get to the root of it. We got to know that it's not okay. And we got to call these people out. $35,000. I want to give since I'm talking about bad things, I want to talk about good things. I want to give a shout out to Representative Della Bellotti, who stood on the Senate floor or the House floor and raised her hand and gave a speech talking about Senate Bill 933, which is a terrible, awful, flawed measure, which I'll talk about in a second. But she had the courage to stand up and say, this is bad. This is a bad bill. It shouldn't be passed. She voted with reservations, which is a yes, but she said this is a bad bill. It needs to be fixed. We're having a special session. We should have a special session. We have the date set aside. Let's go do it and fix this bill. She said it out loud. Very few people are willing to do that. So Representative Della Bellotti, mahalo to you for doing that. Representative Kim Koko Iwamoto stood up, raised her hand, and basically said, I'm with Representative Bellotti. I agree. I want her words spoken as my words. I also don't like it. I also support a special session. So did Representative Amy Peruso, who's a majority leader. Not majority leader, but a majority caucus leader, majority, I'll get that in a second. And Representative Kanani Souza, who's a Republican. But that's okay. She stood up the right thing. All of them, the four of them said, we think a special session should happen. And we think Senate Bill 933 needs to be fixed. It's a bad bill. So mahalo to you. No one else did that in the House or the Senate. So thank you. Okay. Here we go. Reform Senate Bill 933. Okay, those of you that read the blog or seen the email or have watched any of the news recently, it was featured in Civil Beat. It was featured in Hawaii Public Radio. I believe some other news programs had it on. And of course, I wrote about it. Senate Bill 933 is a textbook example of how not to do legislation. It's ugly, it's messy, it's probably illegal. I don't know how the leaders of the House and the Senate had the audacity or the arrogance, or were just not paying attention to let this thing go through. It is really, really bad. And I'm going to walk through why it's bad. And this is more for the people who follow this stuff. But I think newbies, imagine you were taking a political science class. This is how it starts. So I get a call. I get lots of calls, text messages, calls, emails. And this is from a friend on the inside, a friend who works in the legislature. And they said, Gary, did you see Senate Bill 933, Conference Draft 1? Have you read the bill? And that was all it took. That first question. That was a red flag. When friends call, friends who I trust and respect a lot, said, give me the heads up. I said, okay, I got to read it. So I read it. It's not a complicated bill. I went to Hawaii, capital.hawaii.gov. I put in SB 933, and you go to the most recent version of the bill, which is a conference draft, CD1. And I read through it, and lo and behold, it has, these paragraphs jumped out at me. It's got $50 million being put into a pool of money and giving 4 legislators, 2 House members and 2 senators, the power to determine who gets it, how much the money is. So there, read it on the screen. $50 million. So it's a 4-person committee. This is not a committee of nonprofit organizations or a committee of department heads from the governor's office or a committee of experts from the university. This is a committee of 4 politicians I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying they're not qualified, and it's opening the door for corruption. 2 senators and 2 representatives who haven't been named yet. They're supposedly they'll be named any day now, but 4 of them will sit on a committee to oversee who gets $50 million, which nonprofit gets it. And they determine the grant award amount. So they decide who gets $1 million, who gets 40 million, who gets nothing, and that's their decision. And it just wide open. This is not during a public process either. You look down the next line, you see it says that it's exempt from Chapter 92. And those that know what Chapter 92 is the Sunshine Law. Okay, so not only do they have control of 50 million, they determine how much people get, but they don't have to do it in public. They can do it in private, okay? And that is just totally outrageous, Because you know what happens? Okay, we talked about that. They have to raise money to get elected, even if they don't ask for it. Nonprofits in their district are going to knock on their door and say, hey, Gary, you're on the committee. Congratulations. I need your help. I'm in your district. Can you help me? And you know this person. You go to lunch with them or you help them, whatever, with their nonprofit. And the nonprofits in the district will be all over this. So the district nonprofits will have an advantage. And the legislator is like, damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. Because if he gives them money or approves the money, then it's going to look like favoritism, which it looks like and which probably is. And if they don't, then they get hurt from the district. It is crazy. And then people that run and some of these nonprofits, I mean, HMSA or Wilcox, the hospitals are nonprofits, for goodness sake. So a hospital or a health organization who had their budget cut, who's got maybe their own multi-million-dollar budget, can ask this committee for money. And the people that make the decisions are 4 legislators. It is just crazy, crazy bad. But that's not the end of it. So I look at, well, how did this happen? How come nobody knew about this? So then I started reading the bill, and then I realized that it was what they call a short form bill. A short form bill is a bill that starts out as nothing. It's submitted, as a majority leader, I would author them. Basically, it just has a title relating to the state budget. Okay, I forgot. I'm skipping one over. Thanks. I'm going to go back to number 4. Okay, first of all, the first red flag is 4 different legislators. This is part of the legal language we're talking. The legal language says by law, 4 legislators have the power to give away $50 million. Okay. The law also says they don't have to do it in public. They're exempt from Chapter 92. And actually, they're exempt. The Constitution says they can't do it in public, in private, but I'll go there later. So the law also says, you read the law because it's intended to go, this money is intended to help nonprofits who've been hurt by the Trump administration, by their budget cuts. I get it. I support nonprofits. I think they should do that. I think the legislature should fund help for nonprofits whose budgets were cut by the Trump administration. We need them for the schools, for healthcare, for the environment, for food. We need that help. But it should be done thoughtfully and in the open, in the sunshine. So you read the bill. So I read the first part showing 4 politicians, red flag. The second part, Chapter 92, Sunshine Law is exempt, another red flag. Then I read this legislation applies to, the first part of that applies to nonprofits whose budgets were impacted negatively by the Trump administration. Okay, fine. Then there's one word. You learn to look at words. When you're a lawmaker, when you're in this business for 16 years, you look at words closely. So the first sentence says, this is for people whose budgets have been hurt, or nonprofits whose budgets have been hurt by the Trump administration cuts. The second part of it says, or throws out the first part. So, or if the nonprofit works in the general area that was impacted by those budget cuts. So your budget might be fine. You're a nonprofit and your budget got no impact whatsoever, but you deal in agriculture or you deal in education. So you say, I'll go get me some money there because I want to hire new people, whatever, or do a new program. So then you go there and ask for money. So it's possibly a legitimate thing to have in there with qualifiers, but I couldn't see the qualifier. The first and foremost, this money should go to people whose budgets were tangibly impacted. If there's money left over or needs that are definitely not being met, then perhaps someone whose budgets are not impacted can be considered. But it's just one thing after another, red flag after another in the legal language. Then the fifth item, again, we'll bring the fifth item up. You start looking at the history of the bill. Where did this come from? The very first item was a short form bill, which is a blank bill. It starts out as nothing except a title. It's what they call a vehicle. So there's 1,000 bills or more, 1,500 bills or something that go through the legislature. And sometimes last minute people say, oh, I missed the deadline to submit a bill, but I got this great idea and I want to submit one. So they look for a vehicle, something with a good title. So this is about the budget, the bill. They found that for short form. So that's a red flag. When bills, because that means it misses a month or so in general terms of public scrutiny, because no one looks at short form bills because it doesn't say anything. So that's the other one. Then the next item is number 6. Mishka can put it on the screen, I think. It starts out as a short form bill. Then you start looking at the other versions. So there's 2 other versions before the final version. It's a short form is one version. Then there's a House draft and a Senate draft of 2 other versions. I read those. Like, I've got time to do all this stuff, but once I get those red flags going, I make the time, believe me. So I looked at the other 2 versions, and nowhere do they say anything at all about a 4-person legislative committee. Nowhere. And nowhere do they say it's exempt from Chapter 92. Nothing. And so the bills that people are testifying on, the people that they actually have hearings on, public hearings, don't mention the 4-person legislative committee and don't mention the sunshine law exemption. So this is crazy. This is subterfuge, guys. This is doing stuff under the table in the back room so nobody can find out. I'll say it like it is. I don't mind saying that because that's what it is. Then number 7, one more flag. Number 7. Okay, so after it's done and passed by the committee, you read the conference committee report. The report at the end of the conference committee, that's the very last report they make. They're supposed to summarize what happened in the bill in the committee. Nowhere did they mention the 4-person legislative committee. Nowhere did they mention Chapter 92 exemption. So anyone doing the research would not see this mentioned unless you actually read the law very closely. I watched the committee hearing. It's crazy. Like, I got time to do this. I watched the conference draft hearing. Nowhere did the committee chairperson or people say anything at all about the 4-person legislative committee for politicians, including probably that committee member, being given the power to give this money away. And nowhere was it mentioned in Chapter 2. Everything was, milk and honey or wine and roses or whatever. They all laughed, we finally got a deal cut, and let's vote. And it was unanimous and passed on. And it's just crazy. This is just, again, a textbook case study of how not to pass a law. Then number 8, I can't go on this. Number 8 is when I watched the actual floor vote, and I saw Representative Bilatti's floor speech, which talked about legal deficiencies. And legal deficiencies is putting it mildly. And voicing her reservations, and then 3 other reps, which I mentioned before. Number 9, we're still not there yet, but number 9, there's no shortage of flaws and flags for this one. I watched the press conference. The governor's there smiling with all these people, and they all got clapping themselves on the back, talking about what a great bill it is. Nobody mentions the 4-member legislative committee or the Chapter 92 exemption until the discussion starts and some of the questions are asked. Nobody mentions it. And when it's brought up, the governor gets angry that anyone would have the audacity to ask the question. He calls me out. He says, Mr. Hooser is a hater. I don't mean to laugh because it's not funny. And then accuses me of trying to get the spotlight. I'm trying to shine the spotlight, Governor. I'm not trying to get the spotlight. I'm trying to shine the spotlight. And I'm not the one that brought that up. I'm glad I did. And then a couple days later, the media was all over it. At least two different attorneys, credible, well-known attorneys, said the truth. They said that this measure was unconstitutional. It violated probably, you don't know until you go to court, but it probably violated Article 3, Section 12 of the Hawaii State Constitution. Article 3, Section 12 says, it's very clear, it says legislative committees can meet to make decisions in public meetings only. They can't meet in private. The public decision-making must be in public. It says that. It's really clear, and it's not the case. I watched it. Anyone can watch it, and no one's denying it, okay? Nobody, no, not one legislator has denied what I'm saying here is true. Everything I've said, all these points, no one is denying it is true. So I believe if it goes to court, the courts would rule that the way this measure was passed into law in conference committee violated that constitutional provision. Other lawyers will say it also violates the separation of powers. It's the governor, the executive branch's job under the Constitution to spend money. They're the ones that spend the money. The legislature sets the budget. And here you have, they crossed over the line. These legislators actually approve these funding specifically to specific organizations and set the amounts. Last but not least, I think I'm last, this is wearing me out. But last but not least, yeah. So what else can get worse? Okay. This is bad. From the beginning, it's bad. 6 days after it's passed into law, Senator Troy Hashimoto, and I don't know Senator Hashimoto. I will assume that he's a man of high ethical standards that just makes some bad decisions. In my opinion, they're bad decisions. He may not think so. And is assured by other people, assured by the chair of Ways and Means and whoever. No, it's cool. This is good. Or the governor, But anyway, Senator Hashimoto is a key player on this. He was at the press conference. He defended the measure. He talked about they did have some legal challenges, but they got over them. And he mentioned that he was sure that the bill was going to follow the spirit of Chapter 42, I think it is, which is a nonprofit law. And the first thing that came to me is the spirit. We need more than the spirit. We need to follow the letter of the law. Okay, but it's neither here nor there for now. Senator Hashimoto, again, I don't know him. I don't have anything bad to say about him, except the judgment on this, I think, was poor. 6 days after signing into law, he holds a fundraiser, okay, a major fundraiser. Tickets from the range from $50, I believe, to $4,000. Okay, right after this law is passed. So who's paying attention? Nonprofits. Who's going to show up at this and give money? Nonprofits. I don't know. It won't come out for another few months before they have to file the damn things. But it's like, why did you do this? Why not do it? Why not cancel it? Why not say, or at least make a public statement? We just passed this law. I'm not accepting any money from any nonprofits who might be impacted by this law. That would be the thing to do, and I'm disappointed he didn't do that. The legislature did pass a law saying they can't accept money, or they can't hold fundraisers, I should say. There's a difference. Hold that thought. They can't hold fundraisers during the legislative session. Okay, outside the legislative session, they can hold fundraisers. So this committee of 4 outside the legislative session, who's giving away $50 million, can hold fundraisers, which I think shouldn't be the case, and certainly should not be able to legally accept money from potential grant recipients. So that's my rant on Senate Bill 933, Senate Draft 1, which is now public law. The legislature can fix it, and I'm actually cautiously optimistic they might. The attention drawn to this has been pretty significant, not just by Gary Hooser in my email and my blog, but by, again, Civil Beat, hats off to them. They do a great job, the Hawaii Public Radio and others. And the risk is if they make when they go into, they start giving away this money, if it goes to court, that money will be tied up. The nonprofit may not get the money, may have to give it back. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. But they need to fix it. They need to fix it in this special session, which I'd mentioned before. And again, I support helping nonprofits. Frankly, $50 million is not enough. They need to set aside more money. They gave back $1.4 billion in tax cuts. The state legislature. We're not talking about the $3 trillion from the Trump administration, but our legislature gave back $1.4 billion a year. Take part of that back. Those people don't need it. Half the people don't need it. Of course, half do, but take the half back from the wealthy, from those with the money, from the ones that already have their big house, their cars, and take their trips and eat at fancy restaurants. They won't even notice it's gone. Our schools need it. Our kids need it. The people houseless need it. I know someone who got arrested sleeping in their car the other day, sleeping in their car because they got no place to go. There's no beds available. We need to fix that. And we need more than just a fancy emergency declaration. And we need more than just cut the whatever permitting requirements for developers. Yes, we need to speed the process, but we need to focus on the truly affordable housing, not workforce housing. I hate the term workforce housing. Like, we got the bosses housing, we got the workforce housing. We need housing for local people that local people can afford. And so a special session we need to change Senate Bill 933. Let's go to some questions, Mishka. Do you have any questions that I can address right now while I take a breather? I'm kind of worn out by the 933 rant.
Well, you got me riled up. And let's see. I don't see any specific questions related to SB 933. There's different comments coming in. Midori, Midori's agreeing, special sessions are necessary to get things moving quickly.
Okay.
And, others, they appreciate Civil Beat and some of the work they do, but they also feel like there might be an agenda with Civil Beat as well.
Okay.
So
okay.
Yeah,
I'll chime in there. Everybody's got an agenda. Everybody's got a worldview. Gary Hooser looks through the world through my lens. So I have a good government agenda. I got an agenda that keeps me awake at night that I want to push. I'll admit it. Ed Case has an agenda. His agenda is different from mine. A lot of centrist Democrats who are really corporatists, calling themselves centrists, but who dress like Democrats, have different agenda than I do. And my agenda is to help make the world a better place, people on the planet. And I'm fortunate that I'm able to do that. I'm retired. I count on my Social Security check. I got a bit of retirement. I have the experience and the energy and the networks to make a difference. And so I'm going to do it. Some folks get mad at me. Gary, you're too hard. You're calling these people out. You shouldn't be personal. I'm saying, well, how do I do it then? How do I describe certain legislators having fundraisers at certain opportune times without saying who it is, without painting everybody black? Or they'll say, Gary, how come you didn't do it when you were there? And I'm saying, that was 20 years ago when I was there. And frankly, I didn't know. If I knew then what I know now, I'd do it differently. I'm proud of my service 20 years ago. But when people are new in office, and I'm going to make some excuses for some of the newbies right now. You first get elected, you don't know all this stuff. You don't know what Gary knows. Okay, I didn't know about this constitutional provision that requires public decision making. It's in the Constitution. I didn't know about that until 4 years ago, maybe. I'm reading the Constitution and I say, oh my God, look at this. And I went to lawyers then trying to get someone to get involved. But you don't read the Constitution or you read the county charter. You should, but you don't. You don't read the rules. And I learned that right away. Senator Leslie Hara taught me that one. He said, Gary, you got to read the rules. The guy that knows the rules and the guy that knows the Constitution and the Charter knows more and is better prepared to do this stuff. So I learned along the way. I learned to raise my hand in caucus and say, you know, guys, I know this may not be a popular opinion, but I'm going to say it. And when we go out on the floor, I'm going to have a vote a certain way. I'm just telling you right now, I'm not trying to embarrass anybody. And that made, then all of a sudden somebody else in caucus raised their hand and said, you know, I agree with Gary. And so I learned along the way. And I did stand up and be counted, and I'm proud of my time there. But if I knew then what I know now, boy, I would have been a real good troublemaker back then. But let me look at my notes here. I got some advocacy tips. I talked about it earlier.
Got something. We have another question here, Gary,
okay,
if you wanted to address it. Tom's asking, do we know who these 4 godlike legislators will be?
Okay. No, I don't. At the press conference, the governor alluded, he said out loud that he was sure some of the people at the press conference were going to be on that committee. And the people at the press conference were Senator Troy Hashimoto, who was also chair of the conference committee, who drafted this, put it all together. Also, Representative Holt, Daniel Holt, I think, and Representative Chris Todd. Those 3 were there. Representative Chris Todd is chair of the Finance Committee. The law says he appoints the 2. So he can appoint himself or appoint somebody else, but it'll be those 3. And you can bet there's nonprofits all over scrambling to find out who they are because they want to be first in the door. And more power to them. But again, some of the largest medical and health institutions in the state are nonprofit institutions. And we need to be careful. We need an impartial, at a distance. There could be a group put together to score these nonprofits and do it publicly and do it before and during a special session, and even organize that group and put the working group together now. So $50 million is not enough for 933, in my opinion. I think we're going to need much more than that. $50 million is what Jeff Bezos spent on his wedding, guys. Jeff Bezos, the head of Amazon, spent different reports. Some said 20 million, some say over 50 of his Venice wedding. And it's absolutely disgusting. That act alone made me sit up and take notice of the harm that the super rich oligarchs, I don't use that word a lot. I love Bernie Sanders, but I don't, and I would vote for him in a heartbeat, but I don't use the word oligarchs a lot. The super wealthy people, that made me sit up and pay attention. How disgusting the conspicuous consumption, again, with all this going on in the world, and this guy's going to spend $50 million on a wedding. I went out and ordered a t-shirt, not from Amazon, okay? Not from Amazon. I ordered a t-shirt. I was going to bring it on the air today. I'll show it next time. This says, boycott Amazon. And I started my boycott about a week ago, okay? I don't buy from Amazon, and it's a personal inconvenience for me. Okay, think about the bus boycotts. People had to walk to work, walk to school because they chose not to ride the buses. Think about all the boycotts that really took a physical, personal commitment. Boycotting Amazon is nothing. Yes, it's inconvenient, but I learned right away. I learned to get that t-shirt. I don't have to go to Amazon. I can just Google it and go somewhere else. I haven't boycotted Google yet. But I have since then bought a few other things that I normally would go to Amazon, but I didn't. So I would encourage people to join me. We need to send a message. It's not okay. And to his support of the Trump administration and his friends, the Elon Musks of the world, it's really disgusting. And the only message they will understand is an economic one. That's the only message they will understand is an economic one. I'd like to figure out how to boycott Peter Thiel. I originally said, and I'll get this on the table, to boycott PayPal. Thiel, Thiel, is a founder of PayPal, but it's no longer involved there, so I take it back. Don't boycott Peter, PayPal. I'm not. Peter Thiel is a major, super big, wealthy Trump supporter who is responsible in a large degree for Vance, the vice president, having his role. He's a mentor and a patron of a vice president. Thiel was interviewed, and I've got a copy of the interview. I can put a link up some other time. And he said out loud, he was afraid that democracy in its present form was threatening his freedom. Okay, these rich folk, these ultra rich folks, the Elon Musks of the world, are smart people, right? They think they're the smartest people in the world. They got more money than everybody else. Why wouldn't they be the smartest people in the world? And they don't want regulation. They don't want no stinking voters regulating, or even congressmen and women regulating AI or regulating their industry. And that's what's behind this, in my opinion. So yes, I'm boycotting Amazon. We have oligarchs. We have the super rich here. Mr. Z, Mr. Facebook, lives on my island. I've done a little bit of research on him and find that he was a Trump supporter, but kind of a pragmatic one, like not always. So I got to dig deeper on him. And Lanai, of course, and Maui. Thiel owns a home on Maui. Well, Lanai is responsible. Apparently, that owner, what's his name? Slips my mind. Ellison apparently is responsible for this thing going on with Paramount. Anyway, but they're strong Trump supporters. They got more money than anyone, and they need to pay more. At the minimum, they need to pay more. They need to pay their fair share, and they're not doing that, in my opinion. Let me talk a little bit before we run out of time. We got a few more minutes, but I mentioned that I want to talk a little bit about health. And Aria is not here today. She's, I think she's a millennial. I'm not sure what she is, but she's a young woman, half my age or so, and represents a different demographic, if you would, and a different voice. We share a lot of values, and she's a wonderful young woman. But I find naturally so, people a lot of my readers, a lot of people I talk to are my age. Yeah, what's up with that? They're my age, they're my peers. And as we get older, we need to take care of ourselves more. And people are saying, Gary, you lost all this weight. Gary, are you okay? Are you okay? And truth is, I lost 50 pounds, maybe 60, depending on how you measure it. And it's been 2.5 years, and it's all intentional. It's all weight I wanted to lose, and I did it by changing my diet intentionally. It's not because I'm sick. It's not because I'm not sick. I'm not taking any medication at all. Not one single lifetime drug or any regular medication. And I don't begrudge people that do. People that have medical issues. I have a primary care physician. You listen to them, you do your homework, and you make your decisions. But I switched my diet. I went to a chiropractor about last April, 2 years ago, April. So it's been a little over 2 years. And, my friend of mine said, Gary, go see her. She's good. I saw her and I feel better. So I saw her, and lo and behold, I felt better. I woke up the next day, I felt better. And it made me think about my health. And so I thought, I'm going to stop eating junk. I had periods in my life when I've been a vegetarian and stopped eating meat and that. But I said, I'm going to get serious about it. I'm going to stop eating junk, stop eating meat, stop eating sugar, stop eating white stuff, generally speaking, white bread and white potatoes and that kind of stuff, and focus on a vegetarian diet, basically, lots of water, and stop drinking alcohol. So I did that like that. And like that, boom, my weight dropped off and my health improved. No question about it. I do all my blood work, and you can look on a graph and you can see my blood work getting better every few months. And so that's my diet. And then my wife, Claudette, who's just a wonderful, beautiful lady who dragged me off the streets of Waikiki. I'll tell you that story later, or you can go to my blog and read about it. My wife Claudette, uh, who's with me on this journey, said, "Gary, you need to walk." She was reading online that 1,000 steps, 10,000 steps was a magic number. She'd go out and walk 10, and I looked at my phone, and sure enough, you can count your steps on your phone. And so I went out, and the first day I got maybe 1,000 steps, so up and down the block, walking up and down the block where I lived here in Kauai. And then I got 2,000 steps, 3,000 steps, and I felt better. My mind is clear. I'm out there thinking about stuff. Outside, get off the couch, and now we walk 6 miles, 5 or 6 miles, almost every single day, 6 days a week at least. Mornings, sometimes late in the afternoon, not in the heat of the day. Walk along the coast, walk the neighborhood, and it's great. We walk with a group of people. Claudette's friends, they're all women, and their dogs. The dogs are all guys. And so I say I'm the big dog, but there's 3 other dogs, male dogs, and 3 women, myself and Claudette. And we walk our 5 or 6 miles every morning, sometimes later. And, you know, I don't walk as a group necessarily. We start out, but I walk on my own, and I think about the world. I think about what I'm going to write, what I'm going to talk about. So I strongly encourage. I was talking to somebody today to tell me they're stressed out. And I said, you know, go outside and walk and change your diet. And so I do. I drink a lot of water. You know, one thing funny, this thing here, my water bottle, I resisted getting a water bottle till about 2 years ago. And everybody I knew, it was a hip thing to do. Everybody had water bottles. It was like the woke thing to do, you know? And I never had one. And now I can't live. I take it everywhere I go. It's in the car, and I drink water all day long. So take care of your health. Do some goal setting. Write things down. If I'm feeling like, you know, at loose ends, I'll say, what do I got to do? Okay, I got to write. I got to get ready for Monday. I got to figure this out. I got to meet with somebody to help figure out what our next step is. You know, in addition, and we still got to figure that out, you know, showing up, testifying, leaning on our legislators, cajoling them, encouraging them to do the right thing, encouraging them to show up. That's important, but we got to do more. Got to boycott. I'm reading the autobiography of Nelson Mandela right now, and it's life-changing. It's great. So self-promotion again. I'm going to throw this out there. If you want to more Gary Hooser, you can go to my blog, garyhooser.blog, and you know, I go back. I just looked the other day, and I go back 15 years. 15 years of writing, and I just kind of like spot checking some of those things, and some of the victories, a lot of the challenges are still the same. But garyhooser.blog, or if you really want to get involved, get on that email list. Go to garyhooser.com, subscribe, and that's when I'll do active shout outs at the blog and on my email list. When I say active shout out, I'll say this is happening tomorrow. Here's the phone number. Please call it. And for those of you that are serious about this stuff, join another group. I had a young woman call me the other day about EIS issue dealing with the military. And she said, Gary, what do I want to get involved? I heard I should talk to you. And I said, thanks, you know, I can help. Here's some tips. I said, are you a member of the Sierra Club or Surf Rider? Or have you joined the HOPA list or the ACLU list? And she hadn't. But so I encourage people to do that. The ACLU is a wealth of information. American Civil Liberties Union, Hawaii. If you get on their email list and there's something going on, they'll let you know so you can submit testimony or you can show up. They have resources there available to deal with the ICE situation, the immigrant, and that don't think that we're isolated from that here in the islands on Kauai or throughout the state. ICE is here. They have their quotas. They're going to show up at our schools, and they have showed up. And we need to be ready for them. So working with the ACLU and other organizations on that issue, I highly recommend it. HOPA, hapa.hawaii.org, hapa.hi, HAPAHI.org. is a good organization. Again, I'm co-founder of that. The good people, get on their list. They deal with environmental issues, with economic justice issues. And you got to be informed. So join an organization for sure. And you know what I'm going to do right now? Just bear with me. So I want, before I do this, I want to give a shout out to Kate Ozawa. I'm looking at my notes here, and Kate's name is written in big bold letters, Kate Ozawa. So Kate, right on. If you're watching this, if you guys know Kate, call her up or post on her Facebook page or send her a note and tell her right on, Kate. Kate is a member of the Kuleana Academy, a leadership candidate development program that HAPA does. And she just published something in Civil Beat about running for public office. Not her, she's telling people, her peers, get off your butts and let's do it. Just do it. It only takes a few people, a handful of, the legislature, there's 51 House members. A handful more changes the chemistry. The same with Senate. There's 25 senators, 13 are majority. All it takes is a handful. County councils, there's 7 or 9. All it takes is 4 or 5 people to make a difference. So Kate wrote a really well-written, inspiring piece in Civil Beat. So thank you, Kate, for doing that. And I encourage others, use that as an example. Let your voice be heard. That's what we got. We got our voices, people. That's the main thing we've got. So I'm asking people at the beginning to make the calls. Call your legislator. Call your, I just saw a flash flood warning here from the Hunley Bridge. So looking at my phone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk the talk. Okay. And then after we hang up, or you can do it now too if you want. After we hang up, I'm asking you to do that. I'm asking you to call your legislator. I'm calling Senate President Ron Kochi, who's my senator, and the Senate President. And yes, I used to be the state senator. And when I resigned to run for lieutenant governor, he was appointed to take my place. And no, I don't regret my life at all. I went on and done a bunch of stuff since then, and still have a bunch more stuff I want to do. But I'm calling Senator Kochi. Let me see if I can get it here and talk at the same time. And see if he's there. Can you hear me? So if you do, like, I would disclose to him if he picked up the phone, which he won't, his staff or voicemail will get it. I would let him know that I'm live on the video podcast, which I do also if I'm on speakerphone. I think it's courteous to let people know. Okay, I'm hoping their voicemail picks up. Well, it's not very professional. It should pick up sooner than this. Okay, what's up with this? This is Senate President's office. This is the phone number listed officially on their internet, and I stopped counting a few minutes ago. So here, that's not too cool, is it? Okay, I know Senator Kochi. I served with him on the council. He was
We are sorry. There is no one available to take your call.
What's up with that?
Please record your message after the tone. Press star to discard the recording, or press any digit to end the recording.
Yes, hello. This is Gary Hooser calling. The phone rang for a long, long time. I almost hung up before. So I would encourage you to put your voicemail on sooner. Gary Hooser, I'm a constituent of Senator Kochi's on Kauai, and I'm calling to strongly encourage him to support holding a special session as soon as possible. We need to deal with the Trump budget cuts. We need to deal with the threats of ICE, and we need to deal with our own issues here. The houseless, our ethics of campaign spending, campaign finance reform. There's no shortage of issues, and there's money to do it, and there's no reason to wait. So please, I encourage you to support a special session. And if you get a moment, I'd appreciate a call back. Thank you. Okay. I didn't leave my number on the callback. So that was probably a mistake, even though I don't know if the voicemail will say it or not. If you get a minute, this is actually kind of fun. I will now call my next call, and then I'll be done with it. 808-586-6100. I'm calling now Speaker of the House, Representative Nadine Nakamura, who I've also served with. I served with her on the County Council.
This is an emergency. Call 911. Call your AT&T business office for service. 6618L.
You won't believe that. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. First, the Senate President doesn't pick up until it rings a million times, and then I get a recording. And then when I call the speaker's number, 586-6100, I'll double check that number. Maybe, I don't know if Mishka, if you can double check that number while we're here live so I can correct myself. I don't want to.
Aloha. You have reached the office of Speaker Nadine Nakamura. We are sorry to have missed your call.
Okay,
Please leave
that's
your
better.
name, number, and a brief message, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Mahalo.
Yes, hello, Representative Speaker Nakamura. This is Gary Hooser. How you doing? The first time I called, I got a disconnected message, and then now I get your voicemail. So thank you. I'm calling because I'm trying to walk the talk, and I'm encouraging other people to call you as well, to strongly encourage you to hold a special session. It's my understanding that members of the House are actually leaning that way, and that you haven't yet said yes or no, but have set aside 3 dates. So I'd really appreciate you giving us some thought and hopefully answering it yes, and to deal with the Trump budget cuts, to deal with the situation ICE, and to deal with our own urgent priorities here in Hawaii. My number is 808-652-4279, and be happy to talk with you about it anytime. And thank you again in advance for doing this. Aloha. Okay, making some progress here. And then I'm going to call Representative Luke Evslin. Short story on Luke Evslin. He's a peer of my children. They went to school together. And actually, I used to carpool when Luke was, I don't know, in 5th grade or 4th grade or something crazy. I'm dating myself. I took him to school and we changed turns with his family. I wish Luke was a little more progressive, I'll say that, and he knows that.
Currently out of office or unavailable. If you need to speak with somebody immediately, please press 0 now to be transferred to the office manager's phone. Otherwise, please remain on the line and you can leave a message. Thank you.
Yeah, hello. This is for Representative Luke Evslin. This is Gary Hooser calling. I'm a constituent in the district. I live on O'Hello Road, and I'm calling to thank Representative Evslin for the work he does and strongly encourage him to get behind a special session now, as soon as possible. I understand there's other legislators in the House, especially who want to do it. And I'm hopeful that Representative Evslin will want to do it also to deal with the Trump budget cuts, the situation with ICE, the Senate Bill 933, the atrocity that is, as well as our local issues here, campaign spending reform, the houseless issues, and others. So I appreciate a call back or an email. Representative Evslin, if you could let me know how you feel on this issue, and I hope the answer is yes. Aloha and a hui hou. Okay, there you go. I did it right there. So I encourage everyone watching to do the same thing. Senator Kochi, Representative Nakamura, and your senator, if you live elsewhere other than Kauai, and your House member. And that's about all I have. We're about 15 minutes early, but I'm not going to stay on here and kill time just for the sake of it. Let me just cover my notes here. I talked about boycotting Amazon, and let's say do it. I talked about my health and the diet. Talked about keeping a list, advocacy tip. If you don't have an 808 number, you got to get an 808 number. I'm going to beat that horse to death too. I've spoken to people, Kanaka, people born in Hawaii who moved away and went to school and have a California phone number. And they come back here and they want to run for office. And I said, dude, you leave me a message and it's got something that's not 808. My first question is, how long have you lived here and how long are you going to stay? If you're truly committed to our island, to our community, to Hawaii, to our place, you got to get an 808 phone number. And you got to know who your legislator is. We talked about that earlier. And you got to show up. I know we're all busy. We're all busy. You know, the best emails I get people, I try to respond to every email. I don't, but it's hard sometimes, but I try to. I read every one. And I get emails from people. Got one the other day that said, Gary, I've been following politics for 20 years, but I've never ever sent an email or called or did testimony. And I did testimony today because you asked me to. And that gives me, if you want to give me a thrill, you do that. And I know this person, they were proud of themselves and they'll do it more. So please make the time to do it. I know we're busy. I'm busy too. I got grandchildren. I got grass to cut. If you believe I cut the grass, you got another story for you. I don't do yard work. I do lots of stuff. Much to my wife's chagrin, I'm not real good in the yard, but I'm busy. And nobody's as busy as Gary Hooser, as I tell people that. So make the time, please. As you saw, calling is nothing. I get the voicemail. I do it in my own time. Email's the same way. I encourage you to do both. So they got to feel that there's a movement. They got to feel pressure that this is what their constituents want them to do. Most legislators, I think, are good people. They want to do the right thing, but they're afraid of screwing up. And they follow their leaders. I've had House members tell me, Gary, I do whatever leadership says. And I said, well, that's a wrong answer for me. You mean you don't raise your hand and question them? You don't raise your hand and say, I know you guys want to do that, but I don't like it. Do it. And they may be afraid. I was threatened early on, and when I first got elected to the Senate, I was told when I first got elected that I wasn't going to be on Ways and Means. This is a good story. Okay, this is 2002, and I ran my ass off and got elected after serving on the council. I worked really, really hard, and people believed in me. People voted for me. The entire county of Kauai votes for you, or has to elect you. And so I got elected, and the word came down from the Senate president at the time, Bobby Bunda. And I had been talking with other friends and colleagues in the Senate, new senators I just met, and who weren't happy with Senator Bunda's performance as a Senate president. So we were going to back somebody else to be Senate president. And I got a message from Senator Bunda. Well, he apparently got wind of it, that I wasn't supporting him. And I got an email saying that I was not going to be on Ways and Means. So Senator Hooser, Kauai only gets one senator, okay, only one. So Kauai was not going to be represented on the most important committee in the Senate, the money committee, where all the money gets spent. Kauai County was going to be left out of that because the Senate president wasn't happy with me not supporting his position. So I got wind of that, and I called the vice president at the time, who was a very smart woman, very bright, hardworking, Senator Colleen Hanabusa. She's still working today. She's one of the smartest tools and the sharpest tools in the shed, as they say. And she'd always been nice to me, and still is. And so I said, Senator Hanabusa, I said, I know you weren't part of this, but I just got word that I'm not going to be on Ways and Means. And she said something like, yeah, gee, Gary, I'm really sorry about that. I said, I know it's not your doing, but I just got to tell you that when the people of Kauai ask me how come I'm on there, I'm going to tell them. And when the media calls me, I'm going to tell them. And I'm going to stand up on the Senate floor and tell the world what's going on here. You're going to punish the Senate president. You guys are going to punish the senator from Kauai in the county of Kauai because of he wasn't an enthusiastic supporter of the Senate president. I said, I'd much rather be part of the team. I'd much rather work together with people and try to pass good laws and work hard and do the right thing. But if you want me to be a maverick, if you want me to be the Lone Ranger, I can do that too. And I told her, I said, the press likes guys like me. I'd be happy to play that. But I'd rather be part of the group and have a meaningful role here and sit on Ways and Means. And without exaggeration, the next day, I was on the Ways and Means Committee. The next day. And so, people got to speak out. And again, I could have spoke out more when I was there if I knew then what I know now. But we do have legislators willing to speak out. And when they do, they reinforce the others. So I would encourage the new people, just raise your hand. Raise your hand and say, I don't know about this bill. Or voice your opinion, and others will back you up. And you'll see change happen. And I wouldn't be afraid of, people are afraid they're not going to get elected. Well, if I vote for cannabis, if I vote to legalize cannabis, I'm going to lose my election. Well, no. If you go knock on doors in your community and say, I know you may not have liked this bill or whatever, but I support it for these reasons. But I'm supporting all these other bills that you like. People will respect you for that. You should vote for what's in your heart and be able to defend that vote on the floor and to your constituents. If your district feels differently than you on some issues, you've got to tell them, I'm sorry, I can't do that. There are some issues. My daughter, bless her heart, I love her dearly. She's not here. She's on the continent. But she tells me, Dad, there are some things you can't agree to disagree on. And so I would encourage legislators to believe that too. And vote your conscience, vote your now, and speak out and raise your hand. That's the advice I would give to legislators. And to people in the community, build relationships with these people. If you're in a certain district, call them up outside the session, especially, and say, hey, I'd love to have coffee with you. I've got some issues important to me, and I'd love to discuss them with you. Or I have a group in my neighborhood, a small group, especially state legislators, especially House members. The district's relatively small. They should be able to meet with you. And if they don't, that's a red flag. That's a big red flag. Meet with them. Develop a one-on-one relationship with them. That way, when you testify, they know you're from the district. Always tell them when you testify, when you send an email, that you're from the district. I can't tell you, as a state senator, I get emails all day long. And I get emails from Surfer Joe, a very articulate email telling me to vote one way or the other, and it doesn't say where he lives or what island they're on. Okay, so you gotta tell, especially if you're in the district, you gotta say, I live in your district. I live on Ohio Road. You don't have to give out your private address, but tell them, I live in your district, and meet with them. And they will want to make you happy. They don't want you standing on the road with a sign saying, don't vote for Hooser. They don't want you running against them. And if you like them, and there's some good ones there, if you like them, help them. Because then you really have a relationship with them, a strong relationship, because they know you, because you hold signs with them, you knock on doors with them. There's what they call a hierarchy of influence. So this is important. I talked about this at the Kuleana Academy. And there's a hierarchy of influence. So who do you think is the most influential person for Gary Hooser as a senator or a council member, or any senator or council member? Who do you think, when they get the call, the staff will go interrupt them and say, Senator, Representative, council member, you got to go, you got to take this call. And no, it's not their biggest donors. Well, maybe for some it is. But for most, like me, it's my wife or your husband or your kids, or then your neighbors, and then your friend, people that know you, your mom. And then I tell people it's my friend Dave Stewart or Larry Rivera. Okay, Dave Stewart and Larry Rivera. Larry Rivera is a famous guy here on Kauai, musician who's, both of them are up in heaven right now, and I hope they're smiling as I talk about them. Larry and Dave helped me. Larry would stand out on the highway and play music. His family would come and hold signs for me. They could be doing other stuff. They came to help Gary Hooser get elected because they believed in me and they liked me. They never asked me for nothing. Dave Stewart, retired guy. Same thing. Dave just, he kind of liked politics, but he wasn't involved. He said, Gary, you need some help. I said, yeah, I'd love to have your help. So Dave was my campaign manager. Will Welch too, but Dave was the first one. Dave would drive the truck. I tell people, Dave would drive the truck and help me put up signs, carry the water, and talk with me. He's like my personal trainer. We'd walk, and I said, Dave, let's go. It's time to go home. He said, let's do one more street, Gary. Let's do one more road. Dave didn't like knocking on doors. Didn't want to talk to people except for me. So he'd tag the empty houses, put my brochure. But Dave and I became best friends like Larry Rivera. I didn't know them before they helped me. And you can believe it. You can bet whatever you want to bet that if they ask me for their help, I'm going to help them. If they say, Gary, I hope you're not going to support this bill, or I hope you are going to support this bill. They never did. They never asked me nothing. But if they did, you can bet I'm going to look really hard at it. I tell people I'm not going to go to jail for Larry Rivera or Dave Stewart. I'm not going to violate my core principles and values for those two, but I could do most anything else. I'd help them. So when you help candidates, you become part of their ohana. So find somebody you like, help them, and they'll appreciate it. And we need them to win. We need more good candidates to win in 2026. It's coming up. And I'm going to use personally this special session as one of the litmus tests. If a candidate speaks out in support, they're on the support list, at least the initial one. I'm going to look at their whole record, but anyone who isn't able, anyone who thinks it's okay that we can wait till later, that we can wait till the regular session. Anyone who thinks this is the regular times is not somebody who should be serving office, not from my opinion. If they don't feel the same sense of urgency that you and I do, the same sense of fear and hope together, if they don't feel that and aren't willing to raise their hand and say, we need to do something. The people are expecting us to do it. We need to do it, but the people are expecting us to do it, and we need to stand up for the people. If they're not willing to say that, they should look for another job outside of government, outside of politics. So with that, I'm going to say a hui ho. And my first day solo, I hope I did all right. Aria, if you're watching, I hope I made you proud. I didn't, my mom's watching. I hope I didn't swear too much. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you on Facebook. See you on the Hooser blog. See you in 2 weeks. Our next episode is August 4th. And either Aria will be here, or I'll be here with her, or somebody will be here. So please tell your friends, share this on social media and other places. Share it with people and encourage them to watch it. You should be able to see the captions if your sound is down. So Mishka, why don't you sign on so I can see you here a little bit. See ya. This is Mishka. Mish, hey. Thanks a lot for your help, man. I was just talking just now about Larry Stewart and Larry Rivera and Dave Stewart, two people that helped me in the past, and the special role that they have. And if they call me for help, or they call me to tell me something, I'm going to always call them and always send them back. I feel the same way about you, my friend. I want to thank you for doing this. You're not getting paid for it.
It's an honor.
Yeah, you're not getting paid to it. You got other stuff you can do on a Monday. And I really appreciate you taking your Monday away from your family and friends and stuff that's important to you to spend it with in helping me and Aria. So thank you so much. You got any words of wisdom you want to share?
Stuff, oh, you give me some hope. You and Aria give me hope. So that's the reason I'm here. I find it hard just as anybody else, in these times. I try to make a difference in the world, putting my efforts where it can, turn into something. I tried to volunteer with Bernie's campaign, Kim Coco's campaign, Kanyela Ng's campaign, and those outspoken people who really want to enact systematic change. That's not just, a drop in the bucket, but something that helps us all out in a substantial way. So, all of that effort considered, I still feel down sometimes. It's not easy, but you guys give me some hope. So glad you're doing this.
Thank you. Got to get outside. I hope you're out to get outside, walk in, and go to the beach.
I do.
And
thank you. Yeah.
Just look around. We're really lucky here just to be able to live here. You think about people around the planet who are afraid for their very life every single day. But yeah, and just so people know the way it works too, it's about relationships. And so you and I have a relationship now. So if you call me up or send me a text or say, Gary, did you see so-and-so? They're running for this seat. I encourage you to check them out. So I respect your opinion and value your thoughts. And so that makes me go do that. And so the more we can, as a community, I say a community of change makers. And I invite everybody, as long as there aren't values that I can't disagree on. I mean, agree to disagree. I'm not going to, but if people want to put the people on the planet first and be part of the network and be part of the community, I say, come on, let's bring it on. Let's join us. But thank you, Mishka, a lot. And I guess we could sign off and say, hui ho. Thank you. Aloha.
All right. Good night, everybody.